Hey guys, it's me, Pokemon. Today I'm going to be talking about the worst faction of minions in the game and the best faction of minions in the entire game. Now first off, we're going to start with the best faction of minions, and that is the Hand faction. Now I'm going to go through some of the all-star characters inside the Hand faction. We're going to talk about why I think they are all-stars. First off, we have the Hand Sentry. Now he has an okay basic attack, but what's interesting is his taunt. His smoke bomb. Now he can apply stealth to all allies except himself for 2 turns. Plus he gives evade to 4 allies. So essentially he'll provide a taunt for his team that can't be dispelled easily. Now what's interesting about this is a normal taunt, you just taunt, you now have people attacking you, but you could have somebody just attack the character that's taunting and then dispel the taunt. It's really hard to dispel invisibilities though. It'd be really hard to reach the characters that are invisible because you can't target them to use the dispel on them to then attack them. So the only way to remove them are with characters like Hand Archer, who has an AoE dispel, but guess what? He's also in the Hand class. So next up we have Hand Archer. So of course he has okay basic attack, pretty good damage, but he'll attack all enemies for 170% damage for his second skill, and he'll clear 1 positive effect off of each enemy. So this is like the only way you can get rid of those invisibilities. Or say Black Widow speed ups the entire team. You can just use Arrow Storm and get rid of it. So he's an excellent utility character, a great character to add to any team. Hand Blade Master. Pom, why do you like Hand Blade Master? There's nothing fancy about him. Nope, nothing fancy about him, but he sure hits hard. Primary target for 300% damage for his basic attack. And then his second skill, attack primary target for 370% damage. Plus you could do a bonus attack for 290% damage. That's crazy amounts of damage. Hand Blade Master has he can do a lot of damage for a minion. That just is another hand character, super hard hitting. Then we have Hand Assassin, basic attack, 300% damage. Then you can attack somebody with her second skill, Shuriken, for 410% damage, and you can apply Heal Block for 2 turns. This is mind-blowing, guys. This damage is crazy for minions. The hand characters do a incredible amount of damage. And finally, we have Hand Sorceress. Again, deals really good damage for her basic attack, Chi Strike. Attack primary target for 260% damage and drain for 20% of the base damage. And her heal is pretty strong too. She'll heal all allies for 3,600 health plus 50% of their max health. And she can apply defense up to those allies. So it's one of the better heals in this game. There's not many healers outside of Shield Medic. We have Hand Sorceress, and then we have Night Nurse. There's not a lot of healers, at least good healers, outside of those 3. And Hand Sorceress is definitely better than Shield Medic. Not as good as Night Nurse, but it's the best minion medic out there. Now, of course, we're not talking about heroes in this episode. This is all about the minions. But if you put Nobu on a team with any of these hand minions, they get a plus 5% chance to revive on death. And he gives a revive chance to non-hand allies. So, all in all, these characters can keep on coming back, dealing lots of damage. Now, of course, they're not as good as the S tier in this game, but they're certainly strong characters, especially when we start comparing them to the worst class in the game. Now, the worst class in the game is AIM. AIM sucks. They're bad. They're just not good at all. Let's look at AIM Infector, guys. 210% damage, plus he can pass any negative effects on him, but then he applies offense down, defense down, or a slow to the target. That's it. That's all he can do. And then the way he does this is by applying negative effects to himself. His second skill gives him 2 to 3 random negative effects for 2 turns. So you have to give a negative effect to yourself to then give it to the enemy. That just doesn't make any sense. That's why do that when you could just pick the hand and just beat them up. Let's look at AIM Monstrosity. He'll gain offense up for 3 turns, but then he gets defense down for 2 turns. So he's just gonna die anyways. Why bother picking him? His basic attack skill is actually not too bad though. AIM Assaulter. Why would you pick AIM Assaulter? He'll gain speed up for 4 turns. That's nice, but then he gets heal block for 2 turns. Now he does fill up his speed bar by 50%, but why would you do that? Why would you give heal block to yourself? Don't do that. His basic attack, I guess, isn't bad, but it does almost no damage at 140%. It's just, why pick AIM Assaulter? AIM Researcher, that's okay. They can heal somebody for 6,000 health. But then they apply offense down to that ally for 2 turns. So all you did was just make that guy die. He's gonna die now. Why would you bother? Why would you heal somebody if you're just gonna hurt them? Her basic attack is actually not bad though, it can apply offense down to enemies, so not the worst basic attack in the game. Aim security is actually the only one that really benefits from his debuffs. He'll get slow for 2 turns when he activates charge capacitor, and he'll gain taunt, but what's interesting about having a slow with a taunt is your taunt doesn't get removed. Like, your taunt only lasts for 1 turn, so if you slow yourself down, then your taunt's gonna last for longer. So actually, low-key, Aim Security's thinking on a different level than the rest of these Aim minions, and he's actually like, this debuff actually makes sense, I should give myself this. So he's the only one where his debuff actually makes sense, but the rest of these Aim characters just don't work with their debuffs. And, I mean, when you think about it in concept, you're like, oh, that's kind of interesting. You could attack people, and then, you know, you debuff yourself, and then you give it to enemies. It doesn't work. It doesn't work in practicality. You're just setting yourself up to die before you can transfer those debuffs to enemies. Scientist Supreme, the only character outside of all these minions for the Aim class, she applies negative effects to allies for her heal. Why? Why do you do that, Scientist Supreme? That's dumb. Don't do that, Scientist Supreme. So all in all, just the Aim class has the concept of giving themselves debuffs to then transfer those to enemies, but it just doesn't work in practicality. They need to look at the Aim minions. Maybe don't have them debuff themselves and only give debuffs to enemies, or only work with buffs, but they just need to look at, don't level up any of the Aim characters, except maybe Aim Security. Aim Security's not that bad, but otherwise, you really shouldn't be touching this class because they're not all that great. But at the end of the day, guys, what do I know about Marvel Strike Force? I am just a 16-year-old. Signing off, guys.